Hey folks, and welcome to Truck King and another exciting video because we are finally behind the wheel of the brand new Tacoma TRD Pro. Now in this video, we're taking this thing off-road, but we're also gonna run the Trailhunter and the Limited, all of which come with this iForceMAX hybrid engine. So we have a ton to talk about. Let's get into it right now. Exclusively powering the TRD Pro and the Trailhunter is this. That is the iForceMAX hybrid. This engine is a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder hooked to an electric motor and a just over 1 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Total system output 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque, sent through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Okay folks, now we're here in the TRD Pro. We're gonna go on the high-speed off-road course, and it starts with the jump. So we've got it in sport mode, 4 high. Let's nail it and see what happens. Nice.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, you know what? Jumping, it's never the jump that's the tough part, it's the landing that's the tough part. And so far, the suspension's feeling really good. And now we're in some real whooped out gnarly stuff here. 45 miles an hour. Oh, there's a hard hit. But not bad, the truck is staying settled, and that's what you want. Even when you come into one of those hard hits, it didn't feel like the back rebounded, jumped around on me, anything like that. It's staying nice and straight and settled and easy, and that's always the key with any of these high-speed off-road trucks, is you want it, even in a rough, max suspension situation, you don't want anything to happen that you don't expect, and so far so good. Next thing I have to talk about are these isodynamic seats. So essentially you can think of it as extra suspension added into the actual seat. And I can feel it working. It definitely works to just keep your body a little bit more isolated from the movements that are happening in the truck. And the idea there is, again, when you're moving at really high speed, it's one less thing to almost have to focus on because you stay kind of centered and planted. And so I do appreciate that. Now the seats are actually adjustable too, so you can get in there and crank up the damping or make it less. Right now it's actually on its lower setting. If I was to own this truck, I'm sure I would put it to max damping because I'm a heavy guy, but it's nice again that you can set it as you need it. But I'll actually turn the camera a bit here because Dad's back there in the back seat, and that's definitely the downside to these seats. They eat up a ton of the leg room, and then when your knees hit, they're into plastic, right, Dad?
And steel. Thank you very much. So, yeah, no, you lose, I don't know, I'm willing to say 5 to 6 inches of knee room back here. So that, sadly, my front passenger, he's got to jam his knees into the dashboard, and I got my knees, I got about 1 inch. And if Steve starts driving like a wild man, I'm going to have some pain.
So yeah, it's not the most passenger-friendly setup. Now it's time to take a closer look at this truck, the new Tacoma Limited. So this is also powered by that iForceMAX hybrid, and there's a number of other things that set it apart. This, of course, is one of the luxury trucks in the lineup, so it gets all of those sort of luxurious features. First of all, the styling is different. We get a unique grille here, lots of chrome across the front end, and a nice set of 18-inch alloy wheels to also make sure this thing is set apart. Now, the other thing I want to point out, which frankly looks a little ridiculous to my eye is the size of this air dam down here. That's all about fuel economy and aerodynamics. So obviously Toyota needed it to achieve the numbers they wanted to. But yeah, visually, I really think the truck looks sharp, and then this air dam just feels kind of tacked on down there. You guys can let me know what you think about that in the comments. So as we roll back, I'll also point out some of the features inside. There is a standard moonroof here, dual zone climate control, heated steering wheel, heated seats, also powered running boards that pop out when you open the door. So that's all standard on Limited because, again, Limited is all about being the nice luxury version. At the back end, there's some other standard features on Limited I have to show you. First of all, buttons over here in the taillights on both sides, which open your tailgate. This feature rolled out on Tundra, but on Tundra, they only had it on one side. So clearly they heard the feedback really quickly that, hey, give us the button on both sides of the vehicle because it just makes sense. You don't know what side you're approaching from. The idea here is you're carrying something, you can't get to your tailgate, you can just go boop, and down it comes. So fully powered tailgate here, and it's powered down and up. And the other thing Toyota has, they call it knee assist. Again, the idea being you're carrying something, you need to close your gate, just go like that, and up it goes. So nice to have the power tailgate. And again, on the Limited model, this is standard because these are some of the more luxurious features. Now looking inside the bed, basically the standard Tacoma composite bed. The feature I'm gonna call out, and you're gonna hear it today a couple times because it's on all of these trucks, is a 2400 watt plug. That's a legitimate amount of power. You can run power tools off of that. So nice to see that here in the Limited as well. And actually that comes standard on all of the hybrid trucks. And here we are now driving in the Limited, and Dad Limited obviously is about being on-road, right? This is not one of the off-road trucks in the lineup. This is the luxury one, the one you get with all the features. If you just want to drive it to work Monday to Friday, this is the one you want to get. So everything's built into it, but let's focus on the hybrid because we've driven the Tacoma already. We haven't driven this hybrid yet though. So I guess talk me through the hybrid, and it's a bit of a twisty windy road, but let's see if we can feel the power a bit.
The hybrid definitely adds power. The main thing it does is because electric, it does not have a torque curve, it's instantaneous. When and if you want the power, it's available. You know what, let's just do it. Yeah, right nice. There. I mean, it goes, it makes use of that 8-speed transmission now.
Yeah.
It's not a rip snorter, but you know what? It's plenty.
Yeah, I agree. From over here, it definitely feels like more power than you get out of the standard turbo. But I'll also agree, it doesn't feel like a massive difference. And I would even say that the Tundra, the difference between the gas in the Tundra and the hybrid in the Tundra is a little bit more pronounced. This one, yeah, the hybrid is there, and you're right, in the low end, it feels more powerful. But as you move up through the gears, doesn't feel like a massive boost over the standard engine.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely there. So then, you know, why do you get the hybrid? Well, you know, you're going to gain, as far as fuel economy is concerned.
Sure.
Toyota suggests that it's about 2 liters per 100 better than just the gas version. The electric is also going to help you with towing as far as kicking in, particularly on grades. So, yeah. Those are the other things.
Sure, and you're correct that the hybrid should feel better with the trailer on, but keep in mind that the hybrid is limited at 6,000 pounds of towing, whereas if you do get the gas, you can get up to 6,500 pounds, and then each model will be a bit different. But yeah, the max tow is actually not a hybrid, and that's mostly just a function of weight probably, because the hybrid on average is about 500 pounds heavier than just the gas engine. And then quickly, Dad, just on this interior, again, the Limited interior, the real difference here is all of those features I mentioned, things like dual zone climate, heated ventilated seats, but then you're getting this wood up here on the dash. It is a nice looking interior. All right, now it's time to go off-road here in the Trailhunter. So we're in crawl control, and when you hit that crawl button, you get 6 different levels of crawl control. That's gonna control the speed. So we're just gonna start off here in low, level 1, and see how it feels. So the thing with crawl control, when it first came out, it used the ABS system to pulse the brakes, and it worked okay. It was a little more jerky than it is today, but it was loud. You just heard the ABS constantly. It just didn't sound healthy for the truck, quite frankly, even though it was fine. So that's something Toyota addressed with this new generation of crawl control. It's now a silent system. They keep reminding us that it's now silent, and yeah, it does drive smoother now, and it's nice that it's not so loud anymore. Okay, now we're gonna roll through these big mounds and get some real articulation. And as you probably know, this new Tacoma now has a disconnecting front sway bar. The whole reason for that is because it gives you better articulation. Articulation means that when going through these big events where the truck is up on its side, you keep all four wheels on the ground, which is what you want. So I'm gonna go through here first with the sway bar connected, feel it, and then we'll roll back through disconnected to truly feel that difference. And once again, I am utilizing Toyota's crawl control system. So my stabilizer bar is connected right now, Dad. Let's see how much wheel lift we end up getting. And right about there. Oh yeah. Oh, it's digging. Come on, crawl control. You can do it. Yes. So you see, it struggled a bit there because it had two wheels in the air. The truck had to figure out how to split the power, where to send the power. Now we're going to do it again, and we will see the difference. Let's go ahead and disconnect that sway bar, or stabilizer bar as Toyota calls it. You'll see the little emblem up there. And there we go. So now it is disconnected. Right up there you can see it. And now let's feel. Okay. Still slipping because we had the wheel lift, but less. You could just feel it was fighting less to find that grip because the front tires were still on the ground, whereas the first time we came through, it was really struggling to figure out where to send that power. And that's the difference. It's the difference between, you know, digging a rut on the trail and spinning wheels in stressful moments versus a nice calm traverse through an obstacle.
I like spinning wheels.
It's fair, but it's not the point of off-roading, despite what many people will tell you. Including us sometimes.
Nice and steep.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So 30
Almost
degrees.
30 degrees, yeah, side angle, and we do have a little inclinometer up on the screen. So that's another thing we can talk about, Dad, because this is new, the multi-terrain monitor, they call it. And yeah, we've already used it today because a number of these hills are so steep that you end up just staring at the sky. You cannot see what's over that hill. So having the camera there is very helpful for navigating those steep hills. And then we should also just say the camera looks really good. It's really high quality, really nice, which makes it easy too. And it has those predictive guidelines, so handy.
Yeah. It shows you where your tires are and where they're going to be.
Exactly.
They bend based on your steering input. There's one spot on this course where for at least 15 solid seconds you can't see anything in front of you. And yet you got to keep moving, and if you look at that image, no problem. You keep right on track.
Yep, the cameras are just trying to replace spotters realistically, and in a lot of ways they're doing a good job at it. So I think the other big point of discussion here is sort of how different is this suspension setup to the TRD Pro? Because in essence, you know, they're both remote reservoirs, they're the same size shock bodies. That stuff is the same. The Old Man Emu shocks, they don't have clickers on them, so they're not adjustable. You just get one setting and that's it. And sadly, because we are at the event today, we are restricted by what Toyota will allow us to do. They're not letting us take the Trailhunter on the high-speed course, because I feel like that's really where you'd feel the difference.
You'd want to see it comparable, right?
Yeah, because the Pro was fairly soft at high speed. This thing, all we've been able to do is pick through these slow-speed trails. Definitely feels a little stiffer, but I wouldn't call it stiff. It's not, you know, even climbing some of these rocks and stuff, it's still doing a pretty good job at absorbing those hits, but still a hair stiffer than the Pro. And of course, the idea here is that the Trailhunter customer is going to be carrying all of their people with them in a cooler in the back and a rooftop tent. And so once you add all that gear on, you need your suspension to be ready to still handle off-roading while it's loaded up. So I think that is the one thing you should be aware of is, yeah, just a little bit more of that kind of stiffness feeling over here in the Trailhunter. But also, again, comparing to the last Tacoma, a huge step forward getting rid of those rear leaf springs.
And at the same moment, you have to remember that they're not so different that you would absolutely say no if you're a trail hunter, slow and steady, picking through the rocks kind of guy, that you couldn't get into the TRD Pro.
Sure. Yeah, I think they'll both do both things.
They'll both do both things, and I'm looking forward to when we can run them back to back on the same course.
Sure. So we're picking through this little rock garden right now. We are in far low, so we do have the gear reduction. But I'll tell you, this is when you feel the battery doing its thing, because I am so gently feathering the throttle, and I feel like the torque that I'm getting out of these tiny little inputs is really good. So, you know what, on road, of course, it's about taking off from a standstill or taking off with the trailer. But off-road, when you're picking, you also want that super low-end torque, and that's what the battery provides.
You want it to be smooth, and it's smooth.
It really is.
Because it's not jerky at all.
Yeah, yeah, and that's also a fear, too, that, you know, the transition from battery to engine to turbo, you'd get some weird kind of non-linear feeling, but doing this stuff, it's super smooth, easy to modulate, no problem. So Dad, again, this is just a short taste. We're out here on the first drive, so as soon as we can get these trucks back home, you know we will do that. But my feeling so far is that Trailhunter, it's not a massive difference from behind the wheel to TRD Pro. And I think that's okay. I think truly the difference is in the accessories that you're getting. It is in that sport bar, the built-in compressor, proper rock rails, which are fastened to the frame, unlike the TRD Pro, which just gets rocker panel protection, which is attached to the rocker panel. So some of those more subtle differences kind of prove to you that, yeah, Trailhunter, and I will borrow Sheldon's line, the chief engineer, Trailhunter's about going far, whereas TRD Pro is about going fast. And I think the difference in that isn't the suspension really, it's more has to do with just all the things they've built into this truck, into this package.
And then of course the whole overlanding trend, which lends itself to Trailhunter, period.
Totally. Yep. And now, folks, the off-roading is done. It's the end of the day, so we're driving back in another limited. And there's just a couple things we have to kind of get out there to wrap this up. First of all, Dad, the off-roading was great, but I do think one thing we should just mention is just the on-road experience now is straight up better as well in this new Tacoma, mostly because of this new interior and the upgraded seating position, right? We're no longer sitting on the floor. So I think just an overall, from an overall comfort perspective, the new Tacoma is just more comfortable to drive too, right? Wouldn't you say?
It is. The interior layout is pleasant. It's updated, so you've got all the electronic nannies and or infotainment features.
Right.
That you'd find in any other brands.
Yep, absolutely. So those things are also positives too. And I'll take a second now just to say this is just the first drive. You know, Toyota set this trip up, so we've been a little crunched on time. Soon enough, we'll try to get all of these trucks back home where we can, you know, really put them to the test. But the last thing I think we have to spit out, of course, is the pricing. Because, yeah, Toyota aggressively priced this new truck, especially in Canada. But we'll get to that. So I'll start with the US. So the very base Tacoma in the US sells for $31,500. But the trucks you've seen in this video, the Trailhunter starts at $62,900. That's with the short bed, and then steps up to $63,000 with the long bed. And there's a mic falling down on me. The TRD Pro in the United States is $63,900, so essentially $64,000. Yeah, even in the United States, that's a pretty expensive number, but it's also fairly competitive with everything else that is out there. The numbers that really jump off the page are the Canadian prices, quite frankly. So just talking about the hybrids in Canada, the Limited is going to sell for $67,000 Canadian. TRD Off-Road Premium is going to sell for $68,000 Canadian. And then the TRD Pro in Canada is an $80,000 truck. The Trailhunter in Canada is an $86,000 truck. And that's another interesting difference you might have caught. In the States, the Trailhunter is slightly less expensive than the Pro, whereas in Canada, the Trailhunter is $6 grand more. And that's essentially a function of marketing. You know, these companies, they price things totally separate from each other. So Toyota Canada sets their prices entirely independently of Toyota USA. And the Canadians obviously decided that the Trailhunter is the halo truck that's sitting atop the range, whereas the Americans kept TRD Pro as the most expensive one. So there's an interesting sort of philosophical difference. But yeah, at $86,000, I do think it's a good truck, but I cannot justify that price tag, especially when I look across the fence at the Ford Ranger Raptor, which is 80 grand in Canada, but it also has a front locker, it also has active suspension. So, you know, you feel like you're getting more for the money there. Yeah, I don't think anyone is gonna call the new Tacoma a good value, especially at the top end.
I gotta agree with you, and the one maybe bright light on the horizon is that the GM midsize twins actually come in quite a bit cheaper.
Yeah, the ZR2 is definitely the bargain in the midsize off-road truck arena, no doubt. And then even at the very base levels, yeah, the Colorado undercuts everything. So if you do want the affordable midsizer, and I'm not even sure I'd consider it affordable anymore, but if you want the least expensive midsizer, yeah, Chevrolet is happy to sell it to you, whereas Toyota went the other way. I think they kind of sat down and said, we own this market, we will likely continue to own this market, so let's milk it for all it's worth. And the only way we're gonna know if that strategy pays off is in a year's time, when we can look at the sales and say, you know what, Toyota was correct, people are still buying them like crazy, or Toyota went a little too crazy, and you know what, the market is speaking to them. So we'll have to wait and see how the pricing strategy works out.
Seems to be the way it is today. We all complain about the prices, and then we go buy them anyway.
That does seem to be the case, and I'll be the first one to tell you I will not be surprised if the Tacoma still outsells the competitors 2-to-1 even next year.
You're probably right.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of this video. Now, we covered a ton here, but you know what, prices aside, it is safe to say that the Tacoma is better than it was before. It should be better off-road. It is absolutely better on-road. I like that we have more power options with the hybrid or the non-hybrid. So yes, I do think, despite the high prices, that Toyota nailed the redesign on this truck. And when you redesign the #1 vehicle in a segment, it's important not to screw it up. And I don't see anything in here that Toyota really messed up. I think they pretty much nailed it everywhere.
They did it carefully and they did it right.
Yep, feels that way. But now, of course, folks, we need to hear from you. So drop into the comments section, let us know what you think of this new Tacoma, the TRD Pro, the Trailhunter, the hybrid. Let us know all your thoughts. We want to hear them. While you're down there, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member of Truck King, and then come right back here to the channel to see what we are testing next. See ya.
Bye now.